experiencing this. I love the interviews with the fans outside. That might have been my favorite part of the film, because it's just so genuine. And the fans, you are really connecting with people. This is an audience NAMI has not touched. I want to emphasize this.
The pro wrestling audience.
Of the teams we're working on, that needs it. You know, we're trying to get to the New York Times, which may or may not be, right, the Wrestling Times, right? Or the Mixed Martial Arts Express, whatever the vehicle is. I mean, so it's so brilliant in so many ways. So Frank, I'm interested, like early on in the journey, were people more resistant when they learned about his vulnerability, or did people take to it immediately? Because it is a macho culture, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, people are looking pretty muscular. You tell me, I mean, well, they're more fit than my friends. Let me just leave it at that.
Everybody loves Mauro, because Mauro's like your every guy. Like, he's just the nicest, sweetest guy, because he literally is that guy. So everybody has always loved Mauro. And just in the beginning, people didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand. I didn't understand what Mauro meant when he couldn't go to work today. I didn't understand. It just didn't make sense. And then when I got deeper, I was like, oh man, you know, these are the reasons why. You know, we got to get rid of those reasons. We got to help him. You know, we got to support him in these areas. And it was just, I mean, I met him as a friend. You know, I learned all about mental health through Mauro's experience. So it's really been an educational, you know, social experience where we realize, oh, he needs this, and hey, let's help him here. But when he has those things in place, when he has that help, that support, then he shines. Then he's amazing.
So people already had a relationship with him, right? They loved him already. I mean, he's an amazing, you're an amazing, obviously you've heard that once before, right? I mean, you have an amazing gift, multiple gifts. And then because they loved you, they could perhaps allow this vulnerability. They identified with you and loved you.
But that's why you need bigger names like Lady Gaga and Michael Phelps and people who dwarf me in terms of success, fame, talent. That it's people like you say, the wrestling and in our industry, mental health affects everyone. So already I'm reading on Twitter when Michael Phelps says it, well, immediately people are feeling less stigmatized.
That's right.
And that's what. So it's not even. It's me being on that little minor the platform I'm on as a wrestling announcer, combat sports announcer. I'll have you know, so many people in the macho culture approach me saying, "I wish I could talk more openly about it." I'm going to.
It's so great. The National Institute of Mental Health actually had a program on getting men to seek help. And the program, I think, was abandoned because they actually felt that they couldn't figure out how to do it. The men who were living with depression, men who were struggling with mood disorders, men who were struggling with suicidal, inadequacy thoughts, right? I mean, so the audience that you're connecting to is a very important audience. Okay, we're not going to have enough time for your questions with a microphone, but I want to invite you, the audience. Here we are. We have the team assembled. We want to make sure you get a chance to ask some questions publicly. They will cut off our mic sooner than I thought. All right?
Like a game show.
Has that ever happened to you where they take your mic away?
Well, I know they wanted to in the past. They wish they could have.
Mauro never gives up the microphone.
We might have a defense here.
It's like rule number one.
This is Lord of the Flies, and I hold the conch.
Does anybody have a question for our panel? Yes.
First of all, thank you. My life is better for having watched that. Second of all, kudos. Kudos to Showtime. Thank you. I'm going to be a subscriber when I go back home after this. My question is for all of you, but especially for Mr. Ranallo, why do you think in your line of business you were given the support that obviously you were given, and how can we translate that into the rest of the world?
Very good question,
Did everybody hear the question? Okay,
could you, Doctor, go ahead.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so the question was, your amazing support through Showtime is not replicated in other work settings. How can we work to change that? Do I have it? Is that the essence?
And sir, honestly, it's simply, my name is Mauro Ranallo. I live with bipolar disorder. Do you still want to hire me? I'm being as glib and honest as everything I've done, I've let it be known immediately. I disarmed it. I took it away. Well, wait a minute. Were you sick when you did all of this? The reason we're hiring you, were you sick? Yes, sir. So what I'm saying is I got rid of the stigma before it had a chance to impact. And I know it's not going to be easy for everyone, but honestly, that's why. If I can become a coach for these people, I put out my email. It's really, sir, you have to get rid of the stigma yourself saying it. A lot of people can't even utter the words because of the shame and stigma. And it's not going to work all the time. The more we say it, the more we chip away. So for me, simply, I let them know this is what I bring. Can you please help me because I can still do the job.
Another question? Yes.
So I'm a huge wrestling fan. So, female minority of
I'll
that.
Venmo you.
Yeah.
Mamma Mia, huge NXT fan.
Nice.
How do you think WWE can continue to use their platform? Because like you said, there's a huge, I'm a social worker. I work with men who, it's really hard for them to seek out counseling. So how can WWE continue to reach out and use their platform?
Okay, so the question is from a social worker who's a WWE fanatic. Is that, do I have it?
That's a great description.
How can WWE change the culture of their audience towards help seeking? Do I have it?
Yes.
Well, exactly like Showtime has done, and there I can say, due to my relationship and what I've fought for, because it has been a fight, they are becoming more open. In a sense, they are the real litmus test. All combat sports, because of the machismo. And he's a professional fighter. It is tailor-made. Once we go full board, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has been very open with his battles with depression, ripping it open. The Brian Dawkins, the NFL football. So the more I think this film now being available all summer to non-Showtime subscribers, I know WWE is going to promote that, but in that sense, there's still work to be done because there still is a stigma at certain levels. But the generation that's coming in now, and I see it I have teenage nephews, they're talking about mental health a lot different than my generation has, and more. They're very interested about their mental health. So WWE will continue to be a voice, but we have to get everybody on board. All sports organizations, all levels, anyone with a public profile. The more we normalize it, the less stigma there will be.
I do want to just add that the community of NAMI, all of us in this room, are part of that transformation.
Amen.
People are willing to seek help now and integrate this into an ordinary narrative. One of the many reasons I love this film, I became a psychiatrist because my father had bipolar disorder. We never spoke of it until my father's deathbed. And so that is such a failure in so many ways. And the idea that you could be so open and so vulnerable and so willing to teach, to me, is part of this generational transformation.
Well, I know, sir, honestly, and again, I just have to be honest, as we're here. The minute I stop talking, I will die. I hate to say, this keeps me alive, because it is a daily battle. It's a day that I have anxiety even to come in here tonight, and I can tell already my speech went way off the rails, way fast. but that's, if anything, it is my authentic self. So honestly, I've called all the fights. Like I say, I got in it for the fame. To me, advocacy keeps me going because it boggles my mind at how much stigma we still have. It blows my mind, and it upsets me.
Another question. Yes?
So it seems like your talent has met your purpose, or I would say your occupation. So do you feel like this is your destiny? That's one part of the question. And then the second part is, do you think that you could probably look for other youth or talented individuals like yourself that can be doing the same thing as you're doing, because they may have that same bipolar disorder like you, and just use that in something else?
Great question, sir, and absolutely right. I never want to say work.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, sorry. Does my gift or talent, does it foster my illness and allow me to succeed? And there are other youths right now with obviously a lot more talent than me, but because of maybe their fear of mental health, I will say this. We need, and I said this about the conference, yes, it is debilitating. It's deadly. The mental illness can be deadly. Look at the gifts. Look at the amazing people that I say touched by magic, touched by fire. Say what you will, the artists, the musicians, the entertainers. We can use it as our own Trojan horse to get the most stigmatized. Put together a concert, put together a festival, entertain them, and then, oh, by the way, everything you see today is something you've had stigma against. Are you going to still have that stigma? I would reckon the answer would be no, and they would become our biggest boosters. We also have to celebrate the gifts that come with our illnesses. because there is lots to celebrate when medicated, when healthy. I know for a fact I wouldn't be as successful as I am, I mean it, without being bipolar. I know that.
But his related question is mentoring people with this
Yes.
gift/vulnerability.
And
How do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I want to start, I want to raise money, I want to help the next generation. I mean, to me, that's, the next thing is mentoring and maybe starting my own school, whatever. Like there are so many talented people that have mental illness that will never even try. I want to make it so, hey, look at me, you're much better, let me help you get to where you need to be. Absolutely, sir.
Yes.
I just want to say I'm so inspired to see a man share his life and emotions and to put it out there. I've seen wrestling. I've heard your voice, but just to know this and I feel like I've met you, kind of like even see myself in a mirror here, because I do the same thing at work. I blow up and then I get over it, and I got somebody at work that really supports me. My question is, other than that, I just totally forgot what it was.
You're doing fine. We're doing fine.
How do you... I totally forgot.
No.
I'm taking this back. I hope that more men are inspired by this to share their stories in the community. I think you're amazing, and I can't wait to shake your hand. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
If the question comes back to you, that lift up the mic, we're not going anywhere. Yes.
Do you think you ever want to pursue music?
It is, and again, this is going back to this gentleman's question. I have found my interest in the arts, whether it is comedy, whether it is music, whether it is broadcasting. When you could answer this, doctor. I think there's way more therapy in the creative arts, but I don't want to say that everyone's creative, right, when they're mentally ill.
This is an interesting, yes. Many people with this gift vulnerability are incredibly creative, and that's part of it. I was on a panel on creativity and mental illness many years ago, and Mark Vonnegut, Kurt Vonnegut's son, who wrote the Eden Express, was asked this question. What he said to me just knocked my socks off, and this was 15 years ago. He said, I want to make something really clear. Mental illness is trying to kill me. I'm a creative person. Please don't attribute my creativity to this thing that I have to fight every day to stay alive.
Wow.
And I was so moved by that. And I was just on a panel one time, and sometimes things stick with you for 15 years. And his conceptualization was, my creativity is unrelated to this challenge that I face. And this challenge I face is a really big problem. But don't credit. It was just interesting.
No, absolutely. And being a man in the field that I am in, that's also, I get it. Like you were saying, men have to, you can be cool and still talk about your emotions, and it can help you. And for everyone, we can go on and on, the demographics of minorities. I know Taraji P. Henson was supposed to be here, but I mean, what she's doing for the African American community, I mean, the fact is, in 2019, and we've talked about this, if we need famous people on board, we have them. Now let's make some noise. We need more resources, right? So we need to know, why is there so many side effects to medication that's supposed to help us? Why is there a lack of talk therapy? Why are there a lack of beds? It's the ugly stuff. I mean, we can talk until we can't talk anymore. We need to create more. And NAMI is doing it, by the way. That's why I'm here with you guys. NAMI's incredible, but we need to do more.
It's uphill, but NAMI is doing it.
Yes, it is.
And you are with us, which is beautiful for us. Question.
Okay, how do you, when you're on a routine to taking care of yourself, exercise, eating right, and I know that that's not a perfect process. I was talking to a group earlier today. How do you, when you lose the motivation, you wake up and you're like, heck no, I'm not gonna go hiking. I don't want to. That's what your body's telling you. How do you get back on it and get that fire
Can you
back.
repeat that question?
Yes,
It's a
yes.
really
How, when
important
you're
question.
having a down period, right? When your routine, you know, you're either a depressive episode or you're just not wanting to get out of bed, which again happens to me every single day, and it's monotonous, it's infuriating, it's the worst version of Groundhog Day. And simply put, for me, it comes to the fact my parents are very old and sick, and I know I have to stay alive because I know what it would do to them if anything happened to me. And now I'm never going to have kids. I got 2 beautiful nephews. And it's cliche, I know, but I immediately think of the loved ones who have gone through a lot to keep me alive. I have to keep paying tribute to them, and that's what I do. So I'm motivated by those around me who have kept me alive. And if I decide today to not get out of bed, then I'm doing a disservice to everyone who has helped me. And I know for many people, they don't have that help yet. I want to try to inspire that help. I want everyone to be there for one person. Imagine if we all were there just for one person, how much we could be doing. So I'm inspired by those that have kept me alive, man.
I also hear a lot of connection with Frank, with the family of Showtime. Not that many people. NAMI is a family.
Yes.
Showtime is a family. Not that many places of employment use that term. You're a key part of a family. And so I think I hear what I
Yes.
hear. You tell me.
No, you're right.
The support you have and the connection that you feel within your family, parents, siblings, and within your family that you've made. Is that part of?
Absolutely,
the answer to-
that's what makes it easy. But I'm hit in the face every time. People desperately alone. And literally alone, they have no one. Family have died, or they've been ostracized, and that's the thing. One of my first psychiatrists said, Mauro, you are gifted and cursed with empathy. I was very early, I didn't really know what it meant when I figured it out. I see homeless people every day. I wish I could heal the world, I really do. This is my only way of trying to put that pebble in the water and let one ripple hopefully make it somewhere so someone else can be touched and carry on. So it's all about that, man. It's just the more we talk, the more we normalize, the more we smash stigma.
Question.
I have 2 easy questions for you. One, how do we relieve the stigma of mental illness in Asia where it's just not talked about? And another easy one, how do we get the mentally ill out of prisons and jails and treatment?
And I wish I had the answers
You
for
wanna
you. So
answer?
those are, the questions. How do we
Two easy
talk?
questions.
You go ahead, sir. Yeah.
How do we change attitudes and stigma in Asia around mental illness? And that was the easy question. Tough crowd. And the second question was, what are we going to do about all the people with mental illnesses in prisons and correctional settings? Which, of course, is part of the strategic plan of NAMI to do more upstream work.
Well, if it took someone, I'm not a Canadian, I can't even vote here, unfortunately. I'm on a performer's visa. But if it takes, like I say, sir, someone representing us, and wonderful people represent us, have to ask those questions at a higher level. And those are 2 incredible questions. And even vets, I mean, not to say his story, but Frank's brother was a U.S. veteran who committed suicide when he was wrongfully arrested. He suffered from bipolar disorder, and we just lost him this year as well. So this hits him very close to home, but it's questions that people with power have to be asking and solving.
Frank and Brian, were you involved in the Asia adventures at all? Like, do you have a take on the culture of help seeking there? Because, these are hard questions.
Yep.
They are, and you're talking about like a really machismo, baseline culture of you don't talk about that stuff. So, but we're finding just with science and with just evolution of humanity that you have to.
I think
You have to
technology will help
communicate.
China. I think
Yeah.
technology is going to be the thing that helps China. We're reading about apps and the college kids, so
And
maybe technology will do
there's
good.
so much technology now with megahertz in your brain. Like there's so much different technology now that's slowly moving this idea forward. Besides just medications.
One idea in Japan is the Japanese Psychiatric Association changed the name of schizophrenia because they felt it was so stigmatized. They picked a different word, which is Japanese, of course, and I'm not going to translate it well, but word A is a word they no longer use, and word B has more with identity. It's an identity it's more about the person's sense of oneself. It's more sympathetic. Marshall Linehan's talked about borderline personality disorder should be named dysregulatory disorder. People are dysregulated. Borderline isn't helpful. So one of the things they did in Japan, and then there was a study that I reviewed just as part of my day job, journals get sent to me and I read this. The Japanese people seek help more because of this less stigmatized name. So it may be that some names just have to be jettisoned. We have to start over. Like there's so much stigma attached to some names. Now, I personally don't think bipolar disorder is an improvement on manic depressive illness.
Yeah.
I don't. I think they
What about
describe-
gifted?
But, it's interesting. What's that?
What about
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
gifted?
Gifted.
Gifted.
Exactly. But I think there could be something in a name, and Japan has some history of demonstrating by changing the frame of what it's called, more people seek help. So we're only answering the first question. Crisis intervention training, prevention, upstream intervention. Before people get into treatment, you have to do the work. So Ron Homburg is going to be getting a big award on Saturday night for all of his work. Stick around for that and listen to him. He's devoted his life to the whole prevention of criminal justice. He's a NAMI hero. Another question? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say one little fast thing. I'm living with bipolar all my life. A long time ago. I'm taking medication for it. So I'm kind of a little bit better right now. But, before I left home in Alaska, I had these, I had a lot of rapid cycling and manic depressive things. Let's call it the mania. High-low thing. I just couldn't do it.
Right.
I had to sit down like this all the time in a chair. All I could do. My mom, I live with my mom.
I do want to say the gentleman just volunteered something very personal. I'd like to support that gentleman. And just from my 2 cents, because I can't help it, like I read all this literature. High elevations, with more light and less light, increase your risk of mood disorders. I thought about you flying east to west.
Yes.
People without mood disorders get jet lag. People with mood disorders can have an episode.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
would be so much easier if your travel was Brazil, like if you had Ottawa to Brazil, same time zone. But changing time zones is actually a risky thing with the mood vulnerability, and so too is living with high and low light cues. So you need light boxes. You have to think preventively about that whole thing because that's activating parts of your brain that obviously are more dysregulated.
Well, I want to ask you a question because recently, and I've been 2019 started off mentally as one of the worst years of my life. I was in a serious car accident, a lot of triggers, was really struggling. I've started doing transcranial magnetic stimulation.
Yes.
TMS, sir.
Yes.
For about 2 months now, and again, see, when you're mentally, I feel better, but is that it? Is that why? Like, I've done research, there seems to be a lot of encouragement. I just wanted to get your take on TMS and what you think about it.
Yeah, so a repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation. I took a 3-day course at Harvard. My foot went to Harvard, just like, right, you like that? So I took a 3-day course, and they hooked up the thing, and they gave it to me, and it feels like a bee sting
Yes.
on the brain. They activate your muscular system, and then they move forward a little distance with the idea that the magnetic pulses are stimulating the part of your brain that is vulnerable to depression, which is kind of where they think, but don't know. Serotonin activation happens around antidepressants. Interestingly, this is pretty well demonstrated to work for depression, but hasn't really been studied for mania. And there's actually a risk, as with light boxes, to make people more manic. So I would describe this as a power tool, right? This is a power tool. If you're using it, you have to be careful because antidepressant interventions can have risks of mania. There is research happening now, can it help people with mania? It's a really good question. And of course, this speaks to the desperate need we have for better treatments, right?
Yes, did this gentleman want to?
Yes.
Thank you. My twin brother killed himself 20 years ago today.
Oh, wow.
And I think had you been there and he had heard this, he'd still be alive. And I'm so sorry about your brother. I'm curious from Showtime, what are you hearing from other network executives? And then talk a little bit, if you will, Frank, about how the film can be made available to others.
Yeah, the response has been great. I think you got a hug coming. I think more importantly, and your words there echo this or reflect this, the response that Mauro has received on a daily basis and some of the emails that Mauro has shared and the communication to Mauro, stuff like, you helped save my life. I watched this film, I was in a bad place, and it got me through it. So the impact that it's had on people every day, we knew we would have an impact to some degree, but it's been unbelievable how much impact it truly has had. And with that, the ability now to release the film to the masses, we're excited in that there's a whole new world out there that needs this film, that's going to see this film, and it's going to help a lot of people. So we're very excited about that, and would encourage all of you, if you were touched tonight by the film, to share it, because it certainly is a tool. And again, it's been incredible, the impact it's had in our industry and with everyone.
I heard a different piece to the question. You answered the question beautifully. Other executives at other studios, are you influencing them? Clearly, you're a leader. Showtime's a leader in this space. But are the other teams picking it? That was part of the question?
I think so. I think what we've done is we've given it a voice. We've taken our platform and told this story, and yeah, I think so. And I think it's also enabled other people to speak up, more importantly. I mentioned the film we had this past May with Ron Artest. Ron Artest was known as the baddest man in the NBA for a long time. And for him to come forward and to address it and talk about what it is in his life, I think that shows there's a lot of stories out there. So this was the first, and it's certainly not going to be the last for us.
It is cinematic. I hate to look at the sexy aspect. We live in a country, though, we're bombarded with media. And I know, you said gifted, and you said about the Vonnegut, this thing's trying to kill me. I realize that. There are ways, and we, I guess, already talked about it. Sometimes we have to entertain these people to get them in. Do you know what I'm saying? And that to me is what I really am encouraged by, is there's so many incredible people that are now becoming open with their illness that have a lot more power than I do. And the more people like that, I really truly believe we will save people like this gentleman's poor brother, and that's all we can do.
I was going to ask, Showtime, do you plan to put a suicide hotline or a crisis text line at the end of the
That's a
showing?
good question.
The triggering of it, and also maybe possibly putting NAMI or FEP programs at the end to encourage information and education.
FEP is First Episode of Psychosis, which NAMI has helped to champion, and there's now 270 centers across the country, thanks in large measure to NAMI's advocacy. Did everybody hear her question?
We'd love to do that.
Let's talk about an end card.
Yeah. So the question was, what does Showtime plan to do to accompany the film in messaging in terms of people who need help? And it's a great question, great recommendation, and it's something that we have attached to different pieces of content over the course of the campaign. So it's something that we will certainly take note of. It's a great suggestion, and we'll make sure to do that.
Yeah, the National Suicide Hotline is free and is open 24/7. And of course, NAMI is the best resource for all things mental health, just saying. Yes.
Mauro, thank you for sharing your story. I'm curious how you came to discover that cannabis actually worked for you. And did doctors bring you to that realization? And can you talk a little bit about the the controversy, if
Yes.
you will, of that particular treatment.
Yes, sir. He asked about how I found out that cannabis helped me or has helped me, and the controversy surrounding it. And I know, and again, I'm grateful that Showtime allowed me to talk about that, but I also realize, and maybe one thing I may have been able to do a better job there, I didn't want it to seem it's a cure-all, end-all for everyone. I just know, sir, for me, who had been through the gauntlet from lithium to, I mean, you name it, every syllable, every consonant, every letter in the alphabet has been used from A to Z in medications I was on. I was traumatized, as you saw, by my first hospitalization. I also, like most people, are bipolar, the recidivism in terms of when you feel good, you don't want to take your meds. Cannabis for me, sir, all I know is, and it's hard to articulate, it made me feel normal. It made me feel I could go and talk to a member of the opposite sex. I could talk to my family. I actually did feel inspired and creative and wasn't rapid speech. I was almost, it had a weird effect for me. Most people, everyone is different. So for me, sir, I realized early on, it allowed the noise, it allowed the earthquake to stop. And I was absolutely able to function. In fact, I've used this as a kind of own hidden test. Some of the things, my lines that you heard in there, were inspired by cannabis. Other things, not to say everything's brilliant. For me, the quickest thing is, it was Linus and his security blanket. For me, it's cannabis. It just made me feel safe, sir. But I also, don't get me wrong, you can overdo it. Edibles, I have found my recipe for me. Sativa allows me to just not jump off the roof. And it's daily. It truly is daily basis.
Spot on with the NAMI message that every person's recovery is their
different.
own recovery. And whether it's faith for one person, lithium for another person, sobriety for a third person, finding love in a diner, or some these are all people that I've talked to very recently. What is the thing that made a difference for them? And it's a respect for the individual journey is really important.
100%. That's the frustrating part of it, as you know, sir, as well. There is no one-stop shop for mental health. And that, again, this is why NAMI is so essential and so important. But thank you for your question, sir.
But that does fly in the face of some literature.
Well, and
this
that's
is the beauty of your experience, though. And we have to cherish your experience.
And no, and that's where I read that literature, sir.
Yeah.
And I ask myself, well, then I'll stop, and I will do the others.
Yeah.
It's when the side effect makes you suicidal, sir.
That's the thing. And I've had people tell me this for pain, for anxiety, that this is better than the meds that they're taking. And the problem is people in their early teens, their risk of developing a psychosis is much higher. So and we don't research this in our country. The Europeans actually do research and found a strain of this that helps with childhood seizures. Like, we don't approach this from a scientific perspective. We make people find out on their own and figure out what works for them. And some people are harmed because we don't do enough research. That's my opinion.
No, and that's why I love having this discussion.
It's a tool, but is it a power tool that hurts most people but helps a few? Are there some people that it could help? I have an open mind because it hasn't been researched.
Well, I've always said I wish they could isolate whatever it is, because you when you get high, you get high. You're in your normal state. But there is an ingredient, at least for my version, whatever, that tremendous. Everyone who's been around, like when I'm in the middle, you're so happy, you're so real, it's so positive. So why? That's me, but that's.
I do want to say your microphone superpowers are working because we're over time and nobody's pulling the ball. I was told very clearly.
Cannabis power.
So your announcer's karma, it's powerful. It's a beautiful.
Can we get the one last one from this gentleman here again, sir?
Make this the last question.
This was the last question. So my question is actually for Mr. Shamrock. So as his best friend, what was the most challenging thing for you in supporting your best friend?
Could you repeat that question, Frank?
Yeah,
It's a good question.
Yeah. The question was, as his best friend, what was the most challenging part being his best friend and supporting him? And honestly, it was just understanding what was going on. Because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand. You know, I'm trying to negotiate contracts and care for him and do business stuff. I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. And he's my friend and I want to help him. But I don't know what's going on. And it took years to figure it out. Not from his standpoint, he's communicating. But nobody knows what's going on. He's manic. He's in a whole other world. And nobody knows how to medicate, nobody knows how to figure it out. Nobody knows how to make him feel comfortable until we try a bunch of different things. And it just took years and years to get things in place to figure out how to make him stable enough so he could be special and do his thing. But once we got him there, he's a rock star. Look at him. But it took a lot of patience and a lot of time. And it took, you know, our family to go, hey, we love him. Let's try to figure out how to care for him. And you know, we see these models socially at the Fountain House, and we see them we see in this community where people are like, wait a minute, he's got gifts, let's figure out a way to plug him in and maximize it. And then let's not worry about the other weird stuff that he does, because he's just different. He's special, he's gifted.
Patience is everything.
Yes,
He should have been, I'm beyond amazed how much patience my entire support network has, honest to God. And it breaks my heart, because these people are, I know how people are abandoned. I see it. And there is almost like a survivor's guilt. It is very challenging. It's incredible, actually.
Well, let's take 1 minute to thank our panelists.